When you start living with the end in mind, everything starts to change. What are people going to say about you? What message is your life going to speak when you're long gone? Because you weren't born by accident. You didn't just happen to be where you're at and happen to watch this video. There is always a reason.
Yeah. Anyway, here we go. So welcome, guys, and welcome to the Fuse Life Podcast, episode number 21.
21.
Today, 21. Interesting. Today, my guest has been through the ringer. That's what I would say. And when I met her, I had no idea that she'd been through so much stuff. I just knew that she had an awesome initiative and that she carried a joy, and the light that she carried was always on her face, and love, compassion, empathy were all over her. That's all I had seen. And so now I'm really excited to go deep into some of her story. And I believe you're going through a tough time. This story carries the grace to pull you in from whatever you're going through into your breakthrough. So, Jeanny, I just want to welcome you in here. And one of the things that he had spoken to me about is that there are people who have a message. There's you that have a message, Joseph. Throw it all out there. You know, don't try and go one way or the other. Walk the road. And that's why I think your message is really, really powerful. So, I'm really excited to be talking to you this morning.
Yeah, your message matters. That's a big one. It matters. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. So let's go.
Boom. All right. So let's do this thing. So you guys that are watching, somebody said the broadcast is frozen. Is that true for everybody, or is it just one person's computer issue? Let me know. Okay, so we're beginning. We're getting in there. So Jeanny, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, starting from where you grew up and your background, all that kind of stuff?
Okay, so I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and I grew up in church. My mom and dad met in church, and my uncle was a pastor eventually. So my dad was a worship leader. My grandfather was a worship leader. My aunt was a piano player. Everybody was involved in church. I really did not accept Jesus till I was 15 and a half. But I grew up with my mom was wonderful. But my dad was an alcoholic, and he smoked and drank. And I don't even know how he made it to 60 something, because he's passed away. He passed away of colon cancer, but he had a lot of anger. And my twin sister and I, identical. And then my brother, which is 5 years younger, he just come home drunk, and he would just beat us pretty much, just drag by the hair, throw it into the wall. And then he would tell me to stop it, and tell me that you love me. So how messed up is that, right? As a little girl.
Yeah.
So, and then, in church all day, praising God. And so I really
Because you had said the worship leader. Who's the worship leader here?
My dad.
He's the worship leader.
Oh yeah, he had a group, a singing group, and they cut a record and everything, and we would go all over the island with the music, and they were pretty popular in the island. Yeah, they even went to a few islands in the Caribbean. So, yeah, that was how I grew up, and so I just had to deal with a lot of that, a lot of abuse. And try to be the good girl that he wanted me to do, and try to be quiet. Kids cannot be quiet.
Yeah.
And just try whatever he wanted. He was physically abusive, very, very, very hard on us, and my brother too. So And eventually he brought us to the United States. And he wanted a better life for us. He always said, "Let's go to we're gonna move to the United States." But we moved out of the United States, and when my mom and my dad were having a lot of problems, and we moved up to Binghamton, New York, upstate New York. When you think New York, it's not New York City. It was up in the boonies, in the mountains, actually Binghamton is a valley. But we went there not knowing anybody. We speak English, but it was you kind of hide between the students so they don't call on you. But we learned English to read it, but we couldn't really, it's not till you think in the language that you become fluent and you start speaking. So it was really hard because I was my happy place was my high school, my friends. I was the treasurer of the class. I had a nice core of friends, and that was my safety. But once he pulled us out of there and brought us up to New York, then my mom and dad separated, and then I found peace in that sense because he wasn't around that much. But he literally just dropped us. He pulled us from New York, from Puerto Rico, brought us into this apartment, and we stayed there the whole day without furniture or food, waiting for him to come to us. And little did we know he was moving his girlfriend up the street at the same day. So, but eventually he married her, and I love her, so it's all good. It's interesting how things happen that way. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah,
so
but
all of this is happening in your early teens or late teens?
Yeah. Yeah, it's 15, but I skipped the one part. At the age of 11, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Mm.
And and I am a walking miracle because I don't have, other than a crooked finger, everything is pretty much gone.
Mm.
And it's a miracle. Yeah, and then I was, like I said, had some issues where I couldn't, fast forward. I don't want to fast forward to getting married, but yeah, then I go into college years, right?
well, let's talk about this a little bit because I mean there is no real formal structure to this podcast. We're just having a chat. Your story just is crazy. I mean, even you describing that abuse, like I think there's many people here. So in New Zealand, okay, so that's where I'm from, obviously, South Auckland. There's certain places where this kind of stuff is normal, you know, and the fist to the face and the walls and the thrown around the room and then saying I love you, which really messes the person up. But your story, this is happening from a man who's in the church, who's a worship leader. That must mess your head up even more about who God is, right? Like
you don't want God.
Yeah.
You don't want God. I literally shut down. I had to shut down. And just, you go into survival mode. You know, you don't want to say anything. You don't want to do, you're just kind of like a good little soldier. Because you be crying and he says, stop crying. And then tell me that you love me and I love you. You know, it's that's really messed up. That does mess you up. I mean, the more I think about it. So that was my normal. If I didn't know which day he was going to come through the door, I didn't know if I should hide. I don't know if I should give him a kiss, because if I did, it was a good thing. If I didn't, it was a bad thing. I mean, you just didn't know. And that was just me. I mean, my sister was going through the same thing. My brother was going through the same thing. And my poor mother, because he didn't hit her, but he hit us.
And so when you get diagnosed with this rheumatoid arthritis, what's going on in your body? Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, what are you feeling? Why did you have to do that?
Yeah, a lot of pain. My joints started swelling, mostly in my hands, but it affected our jaws and everything because it's in an autoimmune system disease, so it attacks everything. And that's where it was tough because you still have to go to school and you can't complain because otherwise you get hurt. Also, you get in trouble. So you just kind of push through the pain and you push through everything to make it through the day, and then go to bed at night hoping that you don't have any dreams because they're all bad dreams.
Yeah.
So pretty tough.
So this is all your teenage years, and the doctors must have told you what to expect, right? They might not be able to do certain things, or
well, the diagnosis is pretty bad. It's you become crippled, and you can't walk. You can't. Eventually you end up in a wheelchair. It's a bad thing. I've heard it's a bad thing.
That's so crazy that they're like, you'll be a wheelchair person, but now you have this run your race assignment.
Isn't that crazy? I know. It's really crazy. It is, because I'm healed. I mean, but from the healed heart point of view, I know that rheumatoid arthritis, that think about it like self-destructing, like the immune system. Like I really wanted to die, going through those beatings, you really want to die. Like, there's something, something's wrong with you because, you need to be better. You need to be that perfect person. What is wrong with me? So myself is, in a way you kind of you just don't want to be here. So I'm auto-destructing. And,
wow.
So you flare up, and that's what I'm, how I see it, of course. And of course, God is going to use it for everybody's good and my good too. So I'm here.
Wow. So you're saying that internally you're almost like, like you're almost fighting yourself, that your immune system fighting your body, which is obviously what doctors say, but that's interesting insight. So, okay, so now you're in your teenage years, you get to 20. When you're 20, what's going on?
Yeah, I get married. So my dad wasn't in the picture so much after 16. And, me 16 through 20, all messed up, thinking, that I'm looking for love in all the wrong places, so to speak, right? I survived the college years barely. I mean, I should have been dead for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, but God had purpose for that. Because of his mercy and his purpose that he had in me. So I get married at 20, and then then I actually, again, walking through life blind and not knowing, I'm like, hey, God, I got it. I'll choose myself, who I want to marry. I marry the father of my kids. So I was married for 27 years and then divorced.
Wow. So during all this time, are you talking to God? Are you praying? Is it more like a religious kind of relationship, not like a real?
Yeah, totally religious. Definitely. And also knowing that, not really, like knowing in the back of my head, I'm sinning and I'm doing all these wrong things and that I'm probably going to hell, but it's not real,
Yeah.
And just playing Russian roulette, because I would have been, God only knows what infectious disease I could have come up with, but and again, because I'm not in the right environment, I just wanted to, just kind of hiding from God, really, but knowing that He's there. Yeah, I totally got away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially my
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, carry on.
Yeah, especially my husband at the time, he was not, he was exactly where I was, two broken people. So we didn't go to church. I mean, I wanted to go to church, but got pulled back. And then we actually lived in Portugal for a little bit, for a year after college. His dad was a shoe designer. So it's really wild how God exposed me to people like, presidents from companies, higher ups. And I was the one they would come to because I spoke Spanish. I could understand Portuguese and they, I had favor with them. So I would take them all around to different factories. And that was fun. That was a fun time in my life.
Wow.
I could not have babies. Not that we wanted to, but I was told that I could not have children because my tubes, I had a lot of bleeding issues and hormonal issues. So I couldn't have kids. And for 5 years, we could not have, I didn't think I was going to get pregnant ever. I had to have surgery, which, wasn't in the horizon. So
yeah.
Good times.
But then you have this crazy miracle.
Oh yeah, exactly. So we come back from Portugal, and I found out I was pregnant. So that was amazing because I'm like, okay, I'm pregnant. That's amazing. Have the baby, all good. I mean, I had him in 4 hours, and two of those hours I was pushing. So that's bad. You know what that's like? Well, the wife does. And he was born healthy, and then later on they checked me and they said, yeah, my tubes were supposed to be blocked, my fallopian tubes, and they were completely open, and they had no idea how it happened.
Oh man, do you know this happened with Sadie? Sadie, you know Sadie? She had a baby, and the doctors were like, "You shouldn't be pregnant. You shouldn't be able to have a baby. Your fallopian tubes are blocked."
I know.
That's
I heard
amazing.
it. I heard the story. I was like, yeah, I actually messaged her because we're going to talk tomorrow. But yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, we share that in common. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're completely blocked. Go figure, right?
By the way, I appreciate you talking about all the stuff because I know there's a lot of pain that you've been through. And part of this is you giving some of your pain a voice, you know? So I really appreciate that, just saying.
Well, you know what it is? That the dark, and this is a good motivator for me, and I hope that someone hears this out there, that when you bring the dark to the light, it weakens, right? We need to do that. It can be painful. It's scary, you know, getting yourself out there. But yeah, I'm on to him, so I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah, come on. So, man, you've gone through this crazy childhood, crazy teenage years. Now you're married, you can't have a baby, then you have a baby, and then what happens?
Yeah. Some crazy stuff happens that I didn't find out until my daughter was in the hospital dying as I got picked up and thrown against the wall. So lightly on that, all is forgiven. But so I have a daughter 3.5 years later, and she has a condition called trisomy 18, which is a fluke. You know, it's like 1 in so many millions. And she had a chromosome abnormality, and her name is Adriana Jeanette. I gave her my name.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did, you know, because people say, "Oh, you're gonna have another one," and you know, don't give her the name. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna give her my name. Because guess what? I didn't have another one. So yeah. And so that was really tough. Having a baby girl, and I almost died too. I didn't even mention that. I ended up with aspiration pneumonia because I was so hungry, and I was going for a procedure, and they said, they didn't tell me not to eat anything. You know, when you're pregnant, you want to eat everything. And so I had half a ham and cheese sandwich, and literally it ended up going into my lungs, and that was a mess. So I forgot about that.
Wow. So this is you're pregnant. You have the sandwich, it goes into your lungs, and
and then they fly this woman out of, you know, like they have this like emergency level 1 life-saving team in a helicopter. So they bring her over, and she's literally like pounding as hard as she can. I mean, they did the emergency C-section, right? And then so she comes, they literally they wake me right up, and the hospital, of course, is all packed. So I ended up being in the recovery room doing everything. And this woman comes in, and she's pounding my back, trying to get everything out of me. She saved my life. And I'm like, she's saying like, swear. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. Still bad. I'm like, I couldn't do it. So, but,
why is she telling you to swear?
Because she knew how much pain I was. They just cut me open, and I'm here like just literally like probably dying. And she wants to get a response out of me. So, and I couldn't do it. I was like, you know, still wanting to do the right thing. Anyway, so I ended up with like 100 and whatever fever. I couldn't see my daughter for like another week. But she was struggling. Yeah. And was able to fight to get her home, you know, because these hospitals, they're like crazy hospitals. It's about the numbers, right? So they want to keep her alive. They want to keep her, which I do too. But, you know, her prognosis was so poor. And I did not, you know how your babies are, like, even if they get like their first cut or when they first fall, you're like, oh my gosh, you know, like you don't want them to hurt. Like, here's my daughter that has all these, you know, a hole in her brain, a hole in her heart. I mean, I didn't want her to get poked any more than she had to. So I fought to bring her home, but she was at a level 1 hospital. I mean, I had to get her to the level 2 hospital, the doctors at the first level, like I literally almost jumped through the table and grabbed his neck because he said, well, she's not your daughter. She's my daughter. She's our daughter. And I'm like, what? So, watch the lion come out of me,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but I won her, I got her to come out of the hospital. And the second level hospital, it was a process, and they allowed her to come home 10 days. I didn't know it was 10 days. They allowed her to come home, and I was able to love on her, my son, because it was hard on my son, really hard on my son to have a little sister. And he didn't know what to expect, but anyway, you go through the process of putting up the crib and everything, right? And she was home 10 days, and she passed away on Thanksgiving Day. So, and that was another miracle there. But anyway, incredible. Yeah. So I was able to love on her for 10 days at home. So I'm truly, I was grateful. And, and the one thing is, like, it's hard to let go. Because I think that personally, okay, I'm going to speak from my what I'm thinking. Obviously, you don't want your loved ones to go and die, but I realized that for me, it was more loving to let her go. Like, of course, I could have done 20 surgeries, and she could have been alive for 12 more years after that. But we're all going to die. I mean, there's no shortcuts. If you're alive, you're going to die. You just don't know how or when, but it's going to happen. So for her, I really embraced her short visit, and I loved her as much as I could. And and I love the gift. She's my daughter. Wow. She's just not here right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And she's growing up in heaven.
Yeah.
Wow. So
I'll see her in eternity. Eternity's a long time,
Yes. Yes. And so we lost our mum. I lost my mum in December, and you guys were there for 100X. And it's intriguing because my dad has this experience a few days later where he sees my mum with two girls. And then we click that my mom had lost two babies in between me and my sisters. And so it was quite interesting that they were a bit grown, and my dad was seeing her with these two girls. And at first he's like, who are these girls? And then he realized that they're his daughters,
Yeah.
So.
Oh, no, I have a crazy story about her, too, because the day I had not left her sight, like it was my ex-husband, my son, and then his parents. They came over for Thanksgiving. And we had nursing around the clock. That was one of the stipulations, that we had to have a nurse around the clock, because she had to be intubated. She had a feeding tube. So we were told that we should leave the house to just get some fresh air and get out of the house. And so we did. And that day, I'm just going to make it a really fast story. So we go to have dinner, and of course, my daughter and her nurse, my favorite nurse, her name is Jennifer. Because my daughter would have been 26, August 4th. Anyway, so we go to dinner, and my son is sitting next to me. Then there's my ex-husband and the parents here. And my son, which to this day, I literally have to grab him, and give him a kiss. He's not, super affectionate in his own way. He is coloring, and he literally gets up, he moves my face, and he gives me the sweetest kiss on the cheek. And he says, right eye to eye, he goes, Mommy, I love you. And he sits back down. It was the same exact time that she had passed away.
Man.
After we put it all together in the timeline and everything, because the story gets a little longer, I found out that it was around 8:15. Mind blowing. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And then there's another little story that later on we go to the mall, and of course I'm dying. I want to get back home. Because I was kind of taken out of out of her side, not wanting to. But because of my son, I did that. And so we stop at the mall, and all of a sudden I'm sitting at a bench because I was in no mood to go look at VHSs or whatever, back in the. So I see this little girl, like maybe a year and a half, toddling, and she's coming towards me. and I'm looking like a crazy woman, looking like, where is the mother, right? I'm looking, where's the mother? And she's got like curly hair, kind of reddish, and she comes literally right up to me, and she's looking at me with the biggest smile, and I'm like, this is not happening. And then all of a sudden, you see the mother running right after her. But what are the chances that's the same, like after she had passed?
Wow.
Yeah. God is good. God is good. That's all I can tell you.
Man,
Yes.
your outlook on all of this, your perception or your position that you're sitting in is so powerful. So
what are the choices? What are the choices? I mean, that's my biggest weapon. Okay, the first weapon is the word of God. And the second one is laughter. Because the enemy doesn't like laughter. So guess what I'm going to go for? Laughter, joy, and happiness. It's a choice.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I mean, during all of this, that you're in a marriage that's not necessarily flourishing, right? You're not in a, there's stuff going on there. Do you want to touch on that a little bit, or move past that?
Yeah. I mean, it's when you don't have God in your heart and your life, when you're just white knuckling through life and making your own choices and not in his, just you're gonna make your own choices. And yeah, I mean, who doesn't go through marriage issues, I think that it's not the basis of, what I'm going to focus on. It's like all these lessons, all these things that I've gone through, what am I going to learn from? How am I going to get through them? Because there is no shortcuts, Joseph. There's no shortcuts. You have to go through it. And like, you want to graduate, it's like, learn the lesson, because trust me, you're going to go over it again. You're going to go over it, right?
Yep.
So the marriage was not good. Not good at all. And yeah.
Wow. So
but got divorced, yeah. Got divorced, and I moved to Florida. Yes.
Okay.
I moved to Florida.
Yeah. So let's keep moving on your timeline. So you go through this, you lose the baby. That obviously strains your marriage a little bit more, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you had some kind of crazy surgery for this arthritis.
Oh, through my life, yes, exactly. Because it affected my jaw. So I had to have some surgeries.
How did it affect your jaw?
Well, because arthritis will resorb your cartilage and it will resorb your bones. So the condyles, which is the little bones on your jaw, they resorb, and it's just a lot of pain. So the first surgery was when I was 18, after graduation. And that's really traumatic because they have to wire shut your mouth. I mean, not to mention they peel your skin out, right? But I know, and it was in Boston because it was a really groundbreaking surgery. My sister both and I did it. Mine was worse though, and I had extra ones. She had one, I had three. So literally, they wire shut your mouth for like 3 months and all that. Then after that, I had it again when I was maybe in my late 30s or middle 30s, and then I had another one maybe early 40s. So I'm done though. I'm done.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's awesome that you're done. Not that you had to have them, but did you ever get hooked on pain medication? Were you needing that all the time?
No, thank God. No,
Yeah.
Pain medicines to me, like even when I had my son, I had him with no meds. Natural. Pain medicine, I didn't have to go through that at all. Yeah, thank God, because I don't like it. I don't like how they make me feel. Yeah.
Yeah. So what about this 50-hour surgery? That was over 50 hours.
Yeah, well, when you add it up, like the first one was a crazy 15 hours. The other one was like another 10. So I've had so many that when you add them all up, they add up.
Yeah.
They add up. Not all at once. It must have been
freaky.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of recovery. I mean, my son went through a lot, too, because I mean, to see your mom, all swelling, the swelling is incredible. The black and blue is incredible. I mean, but that's another thing, like the scars that I have and can hardly see them. They're like symbols of victory. Like I've come to realize that they're just symbols of what I've gone through, and in my life's race. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's a choice.
Wow.
It's all about a choice, right?
Yeah. Yep. I love your outlook. Okay, so then you get divorced, okay, because you find out stuff, and obviously that's hurtful again. So you're just taking pain.
Yes. So my happy place to come to Florida. I found a house, a fixer-upper. I didn't even go inside. I came with my sister, and we walked around, and we're like, oh my God, because I live in a little island, a 2-mile island. I just felt I just wanted a place of rest and healing and being by the water. So I found this house, and it was totally condemned with squatters. Walked on the side. I mean, there was roach art on the wall. Wherever they hit them, that's where they were, and
yeah,
roach art and flea infested. But yeah, God has gifted me this, and it's a little paradise. So I come here to be closer to my family, finally, be close to my mother. She's 2 hours from me, 2.5, and my sister was 2.5 from me. And I come here for healing, and that's when I started looking for a church. But instead, oh my goodness, I do the best thing at that time. I got into New Age because we got to love everybody.
Yeah.
The universe, right?
Yeah. All right. Before we touch on that,
yeah.
Jackie has a question, and I was going to ask this too. Have you ever been part of support groups during these challenges? Because I know people that have committed suicide, wanted to commit suicide on much lesser than what you've been through already in the timeline. What's going on? Like, why is Jeanny different? Why does she think differently? What's the deal?
That's a really good question. Well, we went through marriage counseling, but I think I ended up counseling the counselor. So that didn't quite go well. Yeah, I did talk to God. I did. In my own broken way, I did talk to him. I talked to my mom, but she was always hoping for a miracle that our marriage would get better. I don't know what to tell you. The grace of God, I did read the Bible now and then after I took the 2 inches of dust over it. I had a good friend that I would talk to, and she would just be like a no nonsense kind of person. She's like, you're going to tell me 3 times, but by the 3rd time, you're not looking for an answer. You're looking for comfort. Like if you're telling me 3 times, after 3 times, you don't want an answer. You just want attention. That's what she would say. And it's true. You either get off the pot or what. So I think that's what it was. That, again, I think it was also the fact that I was with my dad in the survival mode. The mother's prayers, God that had a purpose for me. Because we have that those gifts inside of us, and we just need to tap into that. I don't know what to tell you. I just keep pressing. I never give up. I didn't give up.
Something made you a fighter. As a kid, you became a fighter. That's why you probably had this run your race endurance thing,
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Okay, so you get into New Age. How the heck did you get into New Age?
Because I know better. I got it. It's like, God, you're okay, but I got it. I started, reading books on, because they love Jesus too. Don't get me wrong. They all love Jesus, right? I mean, they speak of him. Mm-hmm. Just trying to find peace and love and not wanting that like connection with God, just kind of keeping him at a distance and not being plugged in, just keeping one foot in, one foot out, kind of thought pattern that once you open, hey, there's 3 ways the enemy will get in: through your eyes, through your ears, or through your mouth, right? So I started hearing it, and it made way for it to get in. And then I started watching. And then if I'm going to do something good, I'm going to do it great. So guess what? I was friends with, without mentioning, I'll say first names, Dwyer and, Marianne, Louise, whatever, so I would go to conferences and I would read all the books. I got into pendulums and angel cards, why not? Why not be the best, right?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's happening here? Are you seeing any manifestations? Are you a part of manifestations? What are you seeing, like supernaturally?
I was always respectfully fearing that stuff. So, but I knew they were there, and I would just, it started freaking me out. I did experience a few things, but again, through the grace of God, and my sister, I found out that my sister had been praying for me hard for many years, and I don't even know how it happened, but I found a church. I did want to take the steps to find a church, and I found the church, and then I discovered through a friend, my girlfriend, I heard about deliverance, and I heard that, to guard your heart and all this, and then I started reading more the scriptures, and it clicked in. I mean, it really wasn't until, I got married. I got married again, thinking, okay, God, I got it. And as a Christian, didn't end well. A month after I got married, I found out that my twin sister was diagnosed with lung cancer. At first, we didn't know what it was. She had like a lot of headaches. And it turned out that she had tumors. She had it went from 1 tumor to 2 tumors to 9 tumors. On Christmas Day, we found out that she had stage 4 lung cancer. When all this time I've been the one sick, and she was like, workout. She was, very, she was a good Christian. And so literally we're looking at each other and screaming at the top of our lungs. And she's looking at me and saying, I thought you were going to die, because, she didn't mean it in any other than, that's the Lord, I would die first. That's what she meant.
Yeah.
Although we were thinking we would end up our older years, together somehow or another. But yeah, so it was really, really super traumatic. I mean, that was the last drop for me. Wow. That was it. Yeah. So
what happened after that? Because you said something along the lines of you were on your knees and you gave.
Oh yeah. So I got the call that it wasn't headaches and tumors. It was it was worse than that. Well, actually, she was actually in the hospital that night, and I just I dropped to my knees and I just said, God, I mean, I'm done. I'm done. Just take over. I can't do this anymore. I'm all in. You have got to take over because I stink at it. I cannot do life anymore. That would have been it for me. I got off the floor and I drove the next day with my friend Diane. She drove me there. And that's when literally everything started coming, turning around. I was able to be there for my sister through the next 10 months. That is super hard, because we're identical. So what she's going through, I see it. And even when I was pregnant, she knew it. She called me. She's like, "Are you pregnant?" That thing about identical twin sisters. So she asked me, I had come to visit her. I mean, I was there almost every other week or for extended period of times. And she looked at me and she said, don't leave me. And the thing is, like, with my daughter, I used to beg God. I was like saying to him, I would say to him, please don't let my daughter die when I'm here alone. Because my ex-husband at the time, he worked third shift. So my nightmare was calling in the middle of the night, my daughter died, and ambulances. And then with my son was my number one priority at that time. But with my sister, I didn't have to go through the death of my daughter, like see her die in front of my eyes. But with my sister, I had no choice. I mean, I did have a choice. I could have said, sorry, I can't do that. But I mean, to me, it was no choice. It was a no-brainer. I mean, she looked at me and she said, don't leave me. And I literally looked up and I said in my head, I said, God, don't leave me. Because I knew I had to walk through, and I was still hoping for a miracle. I still hoping for a miracle. I mean, and that night, I actually had gone. I gave her morphine. I walked into the bath. I said, I'm going to take a shower. But I looked at her and I said, you got to go. Just go. Just go. Go. You have to go. And God gave me the strength to do that. I went to take a shower, come back, and her breathing had shifted. Her breathing had shifted from heavy to like really heavy, really shallow. And literally from like 4 hours later, I'm holding her and she died in my arms. And it was like the worst, most horrible, beautiful thing. I don't know how to put it because first God gave me the strength to do it and the peace. Actually, the hardest thing for me was to tell my mother. My mother being in the other room, and I'll never forget her scream. Because as a mother, I know what it's like to lose a daughter. But just to tell my mother to hurt, I don't like hurting others. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when my sister died, she loved Jesus. So there's a big party in heaven. And it was pretty interesting because when she passed, as she's passing, her entire body got full of goosebumps. Have you ever heard that? I don't know, but her entire body, she got all full of goosebumps. And I'm thinking that's when she saw the pearly gates, and she saw Jesus, and so yeah, and so
wow.
God gave me that strength. I don't know how to do it. I hope I don't have to do it again. But yeah, that was
wow.
beautiful.
Man, so let's come into now, because you said that you had run businesses. You run a business for 5 years.
Yeah, I had a consignment store in New York. Yeah, that was before I went to Florida.
Okay,
and,
so during all the stuff, you're running a successful business.
Yeah. I had to.
Yeah.
to do my own thing. It was fun. I went to school for business and marketing, and I love art. So I love design, and I hate shopping. So I figured, let me have a consignment store, secondhand, good stuff, make some money. And actually, it wasn't even my idea. It was a friend of mine's idea, and she dragged me into it. It's like, she knew I had the business background, so she's like, come along, you got to help me. So I'm like, okay, I'll help you.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how it was. And I sold it. I sold a consignment store. It was really good. Yeah.
Wow. So let's talk about now. Now you're doing 12.1. What is 12.1? How did it begin? And maybe talk about your book.
Okay, book. Yeah, so I found myself telling people, like was it Jackie asked me, how did I do it? I find myself telling people, that we all have a race that, somehow I just started thinking that way because I didn't even come across anything in the Bible, but I just knew that we had purpose, and I would tell people, run your race. You know, you have a race. So that was happening throughout some period in my time. I did the Daniel fast, and I literally was talking to my friend, you know, the Daniel fast, which is hardcore, you know, fruits and vegetables, nuts, water, maybe a little lemon, a little leaf, you know. But I never even heard of it. And my friend Jeanette, she goes, hey, I'm going to do it. I'm like, okay, I'll do it too. And so I'm walking down the street, walking my dog, and that's the night I was starting it. And literally a bug flew in my mouth. And I'm like, oh my God, I just screwed up the diet because now I got protein, I got meat. So I'm like, oh, girl, I'm such a screw up. I can't even get that right. So I started thinking, oh, that's, you know, my friend thought it was really funny. And then I did another joke after that. Anyway, fast forward. I thought, I'm going to message this comedian friend. I mean, well, she wasn't a friend, but she was in our church. The jokes, because there's not really funny jokes for the Daniel fast. And you really need to motivate yourself in the Daniel fast because everything is, you know, as you go through, you know, it's like really tough. Anyway, so the next day, I didn't message the comedian. The next day, I go to Panera to meet with my group, my girls from church. I opened the door and literally, you know who was standing right there? The comedian. Yeah, exactly. So I said to her, Juanita, and she's like, oh. So she's like, I said, I have some material for you, right? The marketer in me, I didn't say I have two jokes. I just said I have material for you. And she's like, great, what is it? So I told her and she thought it was really great. So long story short, she asked me to join her. And so I worked with her. And through that period of time, we go through different, I started like promoting her, working for her, and we go to different conferences. And that was God preparing me. I kid you not. Like it's literally like I can see everything happening. And we went on a airboat ride in the St. John's River. And we're literally going over alligators, and I see this number that flashed in my head. And I see 12.1, and I'm like, what is that? And I didn't get anything, you know, just God doing his thing. And the next day, and I keep asking, what is 12.1? But then I met the lady that we were staying. She was saying how, you know, that's in the book, actually, the story. And the lady was a runner, and she was in her 70s, I think. And she was saying how she had, her car was totaled, and she was really upset about her stickers. She lost her sticker, 13.1 and 26.2, which is a marathon, because 13.1 is half a marathon and 26.2 is a marathon. So I'm thinking, I'm listening to her, how within 10 years, she's run so many marathons and some half marathons, and whatever. Fast forward, the next day we're in the boat ride, or that later that day, and I see the number and I didn't think anything of it. Then the next day I ask God again, I press on, I'm like, what is 12.1? And I hear my spirit, look up Hebrews 12.1. So, and remember when you asked me what is 12.1, right? So I look up 12.1, Hebrews 12.1 on my Bible, which I do have a Bible, but my phone. And I look it up and I'm like, okay, so therefore, since we're surrounded by a great cloud of witness, leave things behind and the sin that so easily entangles us, and run with perseverance the race marked out for you. But then I look it up in the Passion says, literally it says the life's marathon race, right? And I'm like floored. I'm like, what? Like I got it immediately. So, you know, 13.1 is a half a marathon, 26.2 is a marathon, but 12.1 is your life's marathon race.
Wow.
Right? So you're almost there. Don't give up. Keep going. You're one of a kind. It's like Cliff Notes. Literally, that Bible verse should be like in everybody's engraved in your heart. Like it's surround yourself. We are surrounded with a great cloud of witness, right? And even that's on heaven, but here on earth, I mean, it's surround yourself with good people and leave things behind. It's telling you what to do. You gotta leave things behind. And the sin that so easily pulls us down,
Mm.
and then run with perseverance, never give up the race that he's already given you, that he's marked you with. So, and then when we focus on, and then we win. Verse Hebrews 12:2, it says that the answer is you focus on Jesus and you win.
Mm.
There is no other way.
Mm.
So it was amazing. It was amazing how that right there. And the thing is, like, in one of the conferences that I had gone with Juanita, with comedian, is that I had actually, but yeah, after that, I asked God, I said, God, actually, no, back up. I asked him, give me something so powerful, because I'm all in. So it's about advancing the kingdom, right? I'm all in. I said, God, give me something so powerful, yet so simple, that you will be glorified through me, right? So then we go to this conference, and this the conference person, speaker says, you know, he's looking at me and he says, you know, God will give you something so simple yet so powerful that His glory will go through you. Something like, you know, same thing I said. And I was like, no, he didn't just say that. So that's all it took, you know, from previous experiences. You know, when God speaks, I did not move. Well, this time I'm moving, and I'm going full throttle. So that's how it happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so now you started this movement. Last time we spoke in Dallas, there were some interesting things on the horizon.
Yes.
Do you remember that? Has any of that happened already?
Yeah, well, within 6 months at that point, I already had my website, social media. You know, within 7 days, I already been into 3 small conferences and 4 different venues. And I have the book. The book has come out like 3 days ago, I think it was. And it's not so much about my life, because I think that this is more like a devotional. It does speak about me and kind of cliff notes of what I've been through, but not in details. It's really like, you know, run your own race, practical tips for running well. So it gives you, it's about, like, the gospel is simple, and we messed it up and complicated it so much that people are, you know, even like nowadays, you get all these like big time pastors quitting, and you know, now they know best. You know, the ego's rampant, and they're creating their own religion. The truth, it's not about that. I mean, you have to get back to the principles, the Bible principles, the gospel, the beginning. And with what He's given me, this, you know, it's relating your life and knowing that it's a race. And, you know, what do? You know, in a race, you prepare. You go through the training. You get a good coach. You know, our coach is, you know, God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. You know, there's, what is it to, you know, train yourself? Like, you know, you have to renew your mind. Renew your mind. Train yourself. What does it mean to be in training? What does it mean to be a runner? The water stations, you know, the obstacles in life, you know, relay. Wow. You know, the audience, the cheering time. So the whole book breaks down your life's race, and then I give fast track tips and how to run your life, and it's really how God wants us to run our life. It's His way. It's, you know, it's the kingdom, and He's given me. I made all these graphics where, like, even if people are depressed, and you don't feel like reading, they can find something that will cheer them up. Wow. You know? And then some journaling part too. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It's His book. I just wrote it. It's helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have that, and actually there's going to be an app that you'll be able to read the book, and you'll be able to connect to the podcast or the blog, and you'll be able to have access to the e-com store, and one more thing. Oh, journaling. You'll be able to do journaling in the app. So wow. It's really exciting. Cool. And that was given to me. Yeah, that was given to me as a gift, and even a theme song. So every time I say, God, I can't do it anymore, He's like, no, here, I'm going to send you help. I'm going to send you help.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So I've put some of those links in the description, guys, and I'll put it again in this post here, so you can find her book, you can find her on Facebook, you can find everything that Jeanny's doing on social media. Now, it's already been an hour. I don't know if you know that, but we've hit an hour already. So as we wind down, I just want to ask you one thing. I know that there are ladies in here and they're starting to find their race. They're starting to get little glimpses of, oh, I think he's pulling me this way. I think God's taking me this way. What is some advice you would give them on their next steps and what to do and what not to do?
Well, to me was to get quiet with God. You know, to get, the closer I got to him, the more he revealed to me. And that when I took it, you know, even an imperfect step is still a step. Because, you know, when I understood that faith requires action, you got to move. He wants to see, you know, he wants to see you move first, and then he'll meet you there. I don't know if you've seen the video. I put it on my page where there's a little toddler, maybe not even 2 years old. He throws the basketball up to the hoop, and then he falls out. Yeah, and like, so, you know, that's really what he wants. He wants us to trust him. So, you know, you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. Just try it, because he'll meet you wherever you are. No matter what you're going through, it's not going to be wasted. Your pain is never wasted. It's like you have all these pieces to the puzzle that will make a beautiful design that is only your life, your race, you're one of a kind. You know, don't compare yourself, because even with, you know, if you study, even if you read it lightly, Hebrews 12:1, you know, I mean, you're one of a kind. He's put it in you already. You just gotta be intentional. Like, I choose happiness. I choose joy. I do. What's the option? What's the option? And then surround yourself with good people. You know, I mean, I can't afford to have people in my life that are going to pull me down. I cannot. I can't do that, because the price is too high. The price is, I'm not willing to take that I'm not willing to make that investment. I mean, I'm all for exhorting and to help you up, and I'll pray for you. I'll give you the practical tips. You know, I'll do whatever it takes. But as far as like my time with God and my time with Jesus, it's got to be like, you know, jealous about it. Like, I make my schedule. You know, the morning first time is with him. Like, if you got nothing else, turn the music on, praise him. Watch what you put in your watch what you watch. You know, guard your eyes, what you hear, what you say. When you say things, you prophesy. Like, if you're thinking, you know, you might just slip out, you know, if someone, you know, a bad word, a curse, you think you're cursing them? You're cursing yourself. You're cursing yourself. So, and it's not about religion. It's really like you know, it's a relationship with Jesus. He wants you to show up exactly who you are. He wants to see what he sees. I mean, he wants to build an altar in your heart. He wants to build something so beautiful that he can shine through you. You know, life is too short. Like, my daughter didn't have, you know, she had 3.5 months in this earth. My sister had 47 years, I think it was. Time flies. But just make the best out of it. Don't waste time focusing on gossip. And, you know, like the Hebrews said, in Hebrews 12:1, you know, turn away from things, turn away from sin. It's just not worth it. It's yeah, and then fight through it. You know, fight the good fight. Step out. Don't give up. Don't, and it, you know, it's a season, not a sentence, right? It's a season. He made it so simple. He gave us the stars, the sky, the, you know, the water. I mean, and he made it so simple, you know, and we just think. I mean, Moses goes up to the mountain. He says, "I'll be right back," right? He says, "I'll be right back," and by the time he comes back, everybody's melted their gold and everybody's, they made a calf out of whatever. And we're just knuckleheads.
I get you. But if anyone can say fight the good fight, it's probably you. And I love what you just said. It's a season, not a sentence. And someone just commented that too. So normally when we're finishing a podcast, I get people to share a wisdom quote or a one-liner or a sentence or a scripture that they're holding dearly in this season. What would be your one-liner or your wisdom quote that you want to leave people with?
What do you think I'm going to say? I think, be unstoppable and run your own race. Exactly. Be unstoppable. Be you.
Run your own race. Wow.
Yes. Yeah, it's short and sweet.
Yeah, boom. Man, I want to thank you. Thank you for coming on here. Thank you for being vulnerable, sharing your story, things that you've been through. I will guarantee you there are women that will hear this, especially those that are going through a tough time, and your story carries a supernatural grace to pull them through that. So thank you so much for your time, Jeanny.
Thank you. Wait. Is it Tanekwe? Is that how you say thank you? In Maori?
In Maori, Tenakwe. I don't even know what that means. I've heard people say it a lot.
You've been there for how long? You've been there?
The Maori language is actually not that common here, but they're fighting to bring it. They're fighting to bring it back. There's a lot.
There you go.
There you go.
They need to run their own race. Yeah, they gotta bring it up. Yeah. And wait. How do you say God bless you? Do you even know?
No, because maybe my mother-in-law, because she learned some te reo Māori. I don't know. Is there anyone here who knows fluent Māori?
It's
not te nakwe, but
yeah.
Wow.
Manaki te anu. Yeah, manaki te atua.
Manaki te atua. Wow, atua. I wonder if atua is God. But wow. See, you take an interest in the language. There you go.
Yeah.
New Zealand is real interesting because now we're so multicultural, but the people of the land are starting to stand up more, and that language has become more, because it was slowly just kind of dying out, but now people are bringing it up more, So my wife, she's a Kiwi. She's not a Maori, and her mum's not a Maori, but her mum's learned the language, fluent.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I love it. I love travel. I love culture. So I figure, why not look it up?
Yeah, well, we're going to see you in New Zealand at some point. So it's going to be awesome.
Good. Hey, are you coming to California?
I will be there, yes, end of September.
Awesome.
So look
and
forward to catching up.
That would be cool.
I won't be able to bring her this time. But that is a plan of ours. So we've got to see when that works out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much. There you go, guys. And this devotional is available, so make sure you check that out too. But thank you for joining us. We're going to call it quits on this episode here. And we have another episode coming tomorrow as well. You want to check that out. Fuse Life, we're going crazy here. We're all about assignments. So I love Jeanny's assignment because it just lines up with what we're doing here, God-given assignment. So thank you for joining us. And thank you, Jeanny. That was awesome. You can stay with me, but everyone else, we're going to talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Have a great day.
Faith and patience. Faith and patience. Patience means allow it to happen. Stay the same. Stay persistent. Keep going. Faith, know that it can happen at any moment. Get excited because it can happen at any moment. You were so close. Don't quit now. Keep pushing. You got this.